Yo, how's it going, man?
Hey, good. How are you?
G-
Good morning.
Good. How are you doing, Mr. Barker?
I'm fine. Just wrapping
It's
up
been.
things before going on a 3-week holiday. So,
I did a month. It's like the best. Just uninstall Outlook from your phone. Just remove
maybe,
it.
yeah, I was planning on doing that. So maybe I'll expand to 4 weeks as well.
Yeah, that's the beauty of running your own business, right? You're your own boss, except when it comes to your wife.
Yes. Okay.
Your
But
wife,
let's
your
see.
husband, your significant other, your kids, your dog.
Mm-hmm. True, true. So yeah, things are good here.
Good. So, how's Europe? It's been almost 2 weeks since I've been gone from that wonderful continent.
Mainly wet over here. So a lot
Wet?
of rain. Yeah,
Yeah,
depending on where you are.
I heard last week that people's computers were melting because of the heat wave.
Yeah, that's up north, I guess, and the south. But we're in the middle of this weird area where it's it's warm and nice, but it's raining all the
Yeah,
time. So you can go outside.
I made a joke before we started that if you don't like weather in Netherlands, you will be fine because it will change in 15 minutes.
Yeah, just do something else and then retry. You
Originally, I heard that joke about Norway,
hmm
really, but it applies about that the entire strip from
whole Benelux.
starting with Netherlands up to Norway, the entire Scandinavian peninsula and everything. So yeah,
Agree. And if it's not that way, we're probably in the middle of a heat stroke for like 3 weeks in a row,
yeah,
40 degrees
yeah.
Celsius.
And hopefully you're fine with all the floods. It's not around your wonderful lake house.
Not around. I'm glad not, but in the south there's a lot of
Yeah, it
flooding indeed.
sucks.
So yeah, it sucks big time. But
Yeah. So climate change.
mm,
Please reduce your carbon footprint for those that are watching.
hashtag Microsoft. Okay.
Yeah, so last week we had you create something, show us a very fun Power BI app, and you have started basically redoing it. So let's bring that on
hmm
screen. Hope you did some adjustments on the resolution, so it's a little bit less blurry.
less blurry indeed. So this should look familiar. And if you
Yay!
couldn't see it last week, then now you can have a good look. So this is my Power App indeed, which I built. And last week when I explained this, we said, okay, let's do another couple of fun feature requests to see that squeeze
Hmm.
in. But there's one problem already. I don't have enough space to put all the goodness in, so I had to be creative. So it's kind of sad seeing this Windows Hello for Business section here just squeezed in between FIDO2 keys and risk details. But yeah, I have to
What you
do. I
gonna
have to
do?
read it up. Yeah, well, it's fine by me. I'm not a developer. It looks gorgeous to me.
Oh yeah, I agree. Yeah, I have an artistic sense of an ironing board,
Uh-huh.
so
Well,
sure.
it looks good. So what we spoke about is what it would be fun if we could squeeze in the presence,
Yeah,
like okay, and someone did that on like the door with a
yeah. One
light
of
bulb.
my teammates, Mr. Matthias Hoekstra,
hmm
happens to be another Dutch. I don't know what's with you, Benelux people being so creative. I don't know if is it water or are you sniffing poppy seeds and tulips all the time?
I think the last one, but yeah, I've created this. Let me just quickly close the door. One sec.
Yeah, for sure. So now we can talk about Jan, but yeah, he'll leave.
It's not only raining, the wind is also.
Ooh, of course.
Okay, cool. We should be good by now. So yeah, I've created this presence thing. So let's try our test user Lee, and then
Yeah.
this beautiful picture comes up, and behind this picture is going to be the presence in color. So let's first see what it does. So let's run it. As we can see, the presence is offline. Lee is offline, and it's kind of logic because he has an out of office as well. So
Hmm.
let's sign in with Lee.
Holy profiles, Batman.
that's why that's why I love Edge.
Yeah, you know that the portal office.com that we are used to doing, it's kind of not a thing anymore, right? It's just office.com.
Office.com, yeah, but I'm so used to
I
this.
know. Old habits die hard. I'm exactly the same way.
Let's
Wait,
see.
where's the MFA prompt?
I turn it off. I'm sorry.
You're such a
We come
hypocrite, man. You're
we come
such a hypocrite.
It's just a demo tenant. It's just a demo tenant.
I have like 17 authentic apps,
Uh-huh.
accounts in my authenticator. It's always painful.
If you look in the conditional access section, there are a ton of policies that would enable MFA, but Lee is just not uh, enabled for.
Yeah, yeah, I totally get it. It's just demo. You don't
It's
want to
demo.
sacrifice a lamb for demo gods for stuff to work, right?
No, no, no. We come back later to the MFA part. I
Yeah.
promise. We'll turn on MFA for Lee today.
And I'm
Promised.
yeah. Oh, that and the fun part being that sometimes I make a demo too, and I enroll Google Authenticator or Okta Verify or Duo app into Azure Mfa. People say you can do that, or vice
Yeah.
versa, right?
Mhm.
You can use Authenticator to connect to Google Apps.
Yeah.
Oh,
So let's change the presence then to available, and then go back to the Power App. Not that one. And I've created a sneaky button. When you click on presence, it refreshes. So
oh,
and look at
nice.
that.
And you even did the
Look
color.
at the color, yeah,
Look
because
at
light gray
you.
light gray would mean offline, and green is of course available. Let's switch to
Do not
busy
disturb. Do not
or not
disturb.
disturb. Yeah, sure. Do not disturb.
I like that. The do not disturb. There we
Yeah.
go. Wow, you're just calling. Are you calling Graph or are you calling Teams API specifically?
Yeah, the Graph API presence. So let me show you what I do.
That's very cool.
Yeah, let's see. I believe it was in the, it was here already. It's not in this one. So I think it's in our demo connector, the get presence.
Hmm.
So we'll see. First, let me show you how I did
Yeah,
the,
yeah,
the
yeah.
color the color thing.
Did you do? Are you hiding and forking the four images again, layered on top of each
No,
other, like with the risk?
no. I tried that, but it turned out, and I was just messing around, and there turns out to be a much easier way. It's an if statement. It's a long if statement. Okay, I agree, but it works. So let's pull it up and then see how it works. So Lee, and then get this one. The GIF is still there. So when I click on the picture and I select the, I believe it was fill. Yeah, here it is. So I've just added the fill property. So if, and then I've got my variable presence dot availability equals available, then green, comma presence availability busy, and then red, and so on.
It's such an Excel statement. It's if this
Yeah,
then
but it
that.
works.
It's an Excel statement, right? That's how you do ifs.
Yeah,
If it was
it,
IIF, it would be straight up Excel.
yeah. Well, a lot of I'm not that good in Excel, but I think a lot of things are the same in Power BI and Excel and in this
Yes.
Power Apps. So
I'm always very nostalgic when I see traces of Visual Basic. I did my bachelor's project in Visual Basic. I still love it. I don't like when stuff is case sensitive. So
no, I've trouble with that, but it doesn't matter.
yeah, but
And
that's very cool.
yeah, cool. And then this here is just the message from the out of office, and here I also did the value of the presence availability. So if you cannot see it by color, then you also see the value do
Yeah,
not disturb. And this is why it got grabbed from the Graph API, so it doesn't have spaces. It's a bit ugly, but hey, it works.
it works.
That's
Yeah, at the end of the day, you're accommodating people that are colorblind, like yours truly. I have red green thing a little bit.
okay.
So whenever someone tries to do only colors, I say, "Hey, I don't see the difference between red and green that much if they are
So you
not next to each other."
so you don't see this yellow color?
This is yellow, but yeah, I know it's yellow, but it doesn't. But if it had
Uh,
if it had a neighboring green or red, I wouldn't know which is which.
ah, okay, should look into that then. But that's
It's just a thing, right? There is a
yeah,
reason. It's attached to Y chromosome. There is a reason why men don't know the difference between eggshell and off-white.
cool. Well, and then you're also fine with the bar with risk
Yeah, yeah,
details.
yeah,
So
yeah. Because it has
also
arrows and it has yeah, yeah, yeah. That's awesome. Exactly.
okay, okay, cool, good
That's
to
what
know.
we do. That's what we do with our usability studies, right? With in
Hmm.
AAD. So we ask people about. So it turns out that we found out a couple of things with usability that. Something that blew my mind, for example, people that are on the autism scale, when you present a link for them to remind them of their password, more often than not, they will click it, even if they
Hmm.
remember their password,
Okay.
because they feel compelled to follow the link.
Hmm. Did not know that.
Interesting human computer interaction
Yeah.
behaviors. You find out amazing things, and we have to design with usability in mind, like that. So.
Interesting.
But yeah, the coloring and the label, it's basically the way you do it. So
Okay.
you have awesome instincts here.
Okay. Cool. Let's close this one. Yeah. Leave it. So let's find the connector that I used. I got a little too much connectors going on, but hey, it's my demo, so
Yeah,
I believe.
because you can have multiple connectors in one app, right?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, I can show you because here you can see what data sources you get. So I got the Office 365, and also this is a custom connector Graph API, and we got a bunch of flows going on. So you can mix and match. So here's the Azure AD Authentication methods connector, couple of collections. So
Why
yeah, you
did you
can.
have to create another authentication methods connector instead of using the regular Graph API one?
Um, because this one, that's a good question. This one I've created like a year ago, and then it was basically just doing that Azure AD authentication methods. So I want to scope it down to Azure AD authentication methods, and then I want to do more stuff with Graph API. So I created a new one called Graph API,
Uh,
and then I
and
can put in anything I want.
yes, and it can use different client secrets, so you can separate the permissions and you can reuse
Exactly,
different connectors between different apps, and it's a
exactly.
functional requirement. Yeah, yeah, good. I was just curious, right? If
Yeah,
it were
good
me, I
question.
would go a lazy way and I would dump everything and it would have one Uber consented
Yep,
app.
I I have to admit that that might be the case with this one as well, but it's only in dev. So I also do that. So okay, I give this permission, then it should work. I'm too lazy to find the exact permission, but I do the same. But this is just a test environment. But it's good to mention that this connector, you can easily import this into. That's a fun demo, because last year I've uploaded this one to GitHub for
Hmm.
everybody to use. But somehow there is just one version that was accepted by the developers because it's in the official Microsoft Custom Connector repo, and they're very strict. So I did a additional methods, and then I re-uploaded a new pull request, and that was not accepted because there was stuff that wasn't right, and I couldn't fix it. I got not that much knowledge of GitHub, so I left it there. But to get you started, if you click here on new custom connector, and you since a while
Import
you
from
can
GitHub,
import
yeah.
from GitHub, and then you can use certified, but it's in the custom, and then you can see I believe it's in dev or even in the master. Let's check. There are a couple, and one of them is
Yeah,
Azure AD phone methods. So
nice.
you can easily import it and play around with the. It's not exactly the same what you see here because I've imported it and then built on top of that. But to get you started and to see how this works, you can easily grab this from
Oh,
GitHub.
that's very
It's-
cool.
yeah,
That's
so
very
it's good,
cool.
good to mention it here. But let's see where I hide the presence one. No, it's just one from our previous demo, so it's
Yeah.
not that one. Then it should be the Graph API one, the presence. Let's see. Here it is. So last time we showed what the different sections would be. So basically a logo, the graph.microsoft.com. Here's the boring part, the security part, but it has to. You have to do this. It's your client
I know,
secret,
right?
and then the good stuff. So the definition. So here it is. Get presence. So it's basically I pulled it from the Graph API documentation, and it's an easy URL: graph.microsoft.com, beta, and then
Look at
communications.
you still living on the edge with beta and
Yeah, always. It's got the good stuff. So it's slightly different than a regular URL because that would be the user ID would be right after beta users and then the user ID, but this one is at
yeah.
the end. So that's funny.
It's almost like it's as if Microsoft people don't talk to each other about those schemas, right?
I'm sure they have a good reason for this, but it's easy because a variable at the end is easy. Because, but there are a few times that I squeezed in the variable like here, and then I forgot to do a backslash or slash forward slash, for
Yeah.
example. So my query wouldn't work. So maybe it's better to do it at the end. Don't know.
I don't know. It depends how do you define the schema, right? Because it's how do you do the hierarchy of objects.
Hmm. Yeah,
Because at the end of the day, I don't know if you know that all of Azure and Azure AD and everything PowerShell will go into Microsoft Graph PowerShell eventually. The,
did not.
get MG user, right? Get Microsoft
Hmm.
Graph user,
Hmm.
the get Azure AD user, and get MSOL user. Those two PowerShells are going away next year.
Okay. Well, I'm not that into PowerShell. You,
Okay, good for
that
you.
that
So
should not be a surprise.
it will not. So because you're familiar with that, you will be
Yeah,
better. You will be better off with the PowerShell stuff.
yeah. Well, eventually, yes, but I turned into Graph API because I figured out, well, I'm not that good in PowerShell, so I should look around for alternate methods. And it's basically the same. We're also using get, and
Yeah.
but only the URL is slightly different. But okay, and you can use Postman. How great is that?
Oh, it's the best. It's straight up the best. I love
Yes.
Postman. So the interesting thing, people that were developing the phone authentication methods API, we have an internal Postman collection to test it out. I think
Interesting.
it got published on the public repo now.
Cool.
Yeah,
Well, I'd love to see that. So,
yeah. Andreas and Michael
uh-huh. I've
were
talked to
doing.
them over
Yes,
Twitter. So,
yes.
okay,
So
cool.
those are two gentlemen. Yes.
Yes, that's cool because I can use it to build a huge custom connector, which holds it all.
I know, right?
The good part. Okay, so basically the presence is like this. User ID is a variable, so you could define it here. You can do
Yep.
a default value, like we said, but we don't do anything special with that. So um, last time I showed.
So it works with the UPN. It doesn't have to be an object ID, right?
Let's try it out. I don't know. Sometimes it works with UPN, sometimes it works with user ID, sometimes it works with both.
Yeah,
So,
all of the user directory AAD stuff should work with both.
well, we're about to find out. So we got a default response that we added, and basically that's where you define the schema, which you will see that so you can grab the activity, the availability, an ID, of course, and the is out of office value, which would be true or false, and then the message if the out of office is true, then you got a message, and that you can pull that from the API as well. So let's go to the fourth section, which is test, and here we're gonna enter the user ID in. Let's grab him. Let's try. What do you want to try first, UPN or user ID?
I would try object ID.
Object ID. There we go. Set in. Let's test. It
So I see
should
you're
work.
not using Clipboard History.
I use it a lot, but I don't know what's on there, so
You're very smart.
I won't use it right now because well, for the people that don't know that, Clipboard History is the best. It saved me a lot of times.
Yes, it
So
remembers like by 25 last copies that you did, and Windows V instead of Control V shows up an entire interface.
yes, it you have to get used to it, but once you are, you
Yes.
automatically use Windows V instead of Control V.
Yep.
It's
Mm-hmm.
great. So of course, user ID would work, and we did the get MFA methods once. We should selected the get presence. So let's try it again with the right one. We get a response 200, and there we go. This is our answer from the Graph API, saying the availability, activity, the out of office setting, and the message, and the is out of office value, which of course is true.
Very cool.
And then we're going to try the UPN as well. It also works.
Nice. Very nice.
Cool. So this is the one that I used in my Power App. Oh, interesting. So out of office setting, there's a type mismatch. So
Yeah.
it expects an object, but it gets a string. I'm not very good in schemas. Well, it works, so fine by me.
So when you have a definition, you probably have, because on the sample response, it
Yeah.
looked at the object type, right? The out of
hmm
office settings, because it came out as null.
Yeah. Well, hey, that's funny. So when you use the UPN, it will says it doesn't work. It said presence unknown. You see that?
Mm-hmm.
We were too quick.
Is it case sensitive? Is it on Microsoft.com? You copied it straight up from the portal, so the
Uh-huh.
UPN is straight up match, right?
hmm Yeah, it's here, and I copied it from here.
Did we
Oh,
lose like a letter or something?
let's do it again. Maybe the API just, yeah, okay.
Doesn't like it.
It
But you
doesn't
have
like
it working, which is kind of interesting.
with the ID. When, yeah, let's see that in the Power App. When we hit this button, I set the presence variable, and then I run Graph API connector, which is over here, and then dot get presence, which is the action, and then when you when you select this one, it asks for user ID because we defined that in the custom connector. So it asks for user ID, but that's no problem. I have both values on this Power App, so I
Oh
can
yeah.
use ID, but if I
Or
remove this,
you can use
I can also
UPN, right?
search.
User principal name. Oh, because the API straight up is calling for object ID.
Yeah, and I've got this. Let me change this back to ID, so it's working. I've got this Office 365 users. That's a default a connector that I use, and that will provide such details as ID, use principal name, who's the manager, basically the information that we show here.
There is
So
an entire object schema that you can refer to. Yeah.
yeah, that's just baked into the Office 365 user connector. This one is by this. I did not build that. That's you can
Yeah.
use that straight from the gallery.
Yeah. Very cool.
So that's all, and that helped me because we've seen it with our own eyes. Sometimes you have to use ID, and sometimes you have to use principal name. And I would say use principal name would also work when you pass it on to Power Automate, for example, because you can grab this value and then use the Azure AD connector to grab the
Object
user ID.
ID. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. because
honestly, I'm not surprised that UPN doesn't work, because object ID is always the reference, right? You don't have to expand or resolve anything. I would say that object ID queries will be always faster because it's a well-indexed GUID.
Yeah, of course. Yeah,
If you
makes
care
sense.
about performance, people
Yeah,
sometimes don't care about performance.
you should use the ID, but because this is a good example. This is another flow, but this is where I do the same trick. I ask in Power Apps for a use principal name variable, so that's what I ask, and the Power App will give that back. But the first thing I will do is grab this UPN and
Yep.
get all the user information with the Azure Active Directory connector, and with that I use it later on. Then I grab the ID, but
Nice.
it has lots of information from this. So got the ID, but also
Oh,
business
wow.
phone. You got a lot of information that you can grab just from the UPN. So UPN would be the trigger, but after that you're going to do some resolving. And there is, I believe there's a bunch more that you can see, but it's not listed over here.
Very cool.
Yeah. So that's the example. So if you only have UPN, doesn't matter. You can do this trick to convert it into an ID after that using Power Automate.
Very,
So,
very cool.
and then, well, when we get this value, it will store it into
A
a
variable.
variable.
Yep.
Yeah, and we can use it like we use it here, presence.availability, and we use it to define the color on this photograph, like we showed earlier. So if this is available, green, and so on. So that's basically the trick around presence. One more time because it's so funny. Let's say available again, and then we sign off. It's offline.
Because you closed your browser, yeah? It doesn't have a
Cool.
presence anymore.
Oh, cool. Well, then I did not know that, but now I know. That's cool.
Mm. So if you had Teams installed on your phone,
Uh-huh.
browser initiated presence change synchronizes across all of your devices. You close your browser, but the thing that's available is your phone.
Uh-huh. Cool.
That's what happens.
Ah, cool.
It tripped me up a couple of times when I had Teams installed on my phone. People said, "You're green," but I turned off my PC.
Mm-hmm. Your phone is on.
Yeah, it's always
Cool.
freaking on.
Okay.
Always.
Yes. Okay, cool. No, did not know that, but it works and it's fast.
Yeah,
It's really fast. The presence is immediately updated, and when you pull it down from the Graph API, it's immediately there. So it's cool.
very cool.
Okay, the second thing that you asked was the last sign-in. It's at the bottom. I don't know if you can see it. Let's zoom in a
Yes,
little.
I can.
Yeah, there it is. So,
Yes.
funny thing, this one is in the Azure portal. It's shown here, and
It wasn't for the longest time. It's like a
mm,
very, very new thing, right?
yeah, that's true. But what I like here is the the format, because if you pull this from the Graph API and you can see it in my Power App, it will just give you this JSON format.
Yeah,
So
it's a Greenwich Mean Time. It's basically the Universal Time Convention. It's the UTC.
yeah, and I did not have enough time to convert that
Oh,
into
no one
something
does that, dude.
human readable.
You just hope for the best. No one
I
does
hope.
that.
Yeah. But if anything, anyone is listening and has to guess the great tip for me, just drop it in the
Yes.
chat. I'm
What
happy to
I do, I
implement it.
just eyeball the kind of the minutes after the hour to see if it was like within last hour or something.
It was no, it was 2 days ago.
You
But it should,
literally just signed in as lead to Teams, so it should be a brand new.
yes, yeah. But we didn't refresh, so let's hit that
Oh.
again.
And it has a delay. The last
It
sign
has
in
a
date time.
yeah, because that's funny. It uses the audit logs.
No. It uses there is a last sign in date time that gets stamped on like 6-hour basis in the backend onto a user object.
Okay.
Doesn't use audit logs anymore. So we started stamping that one on users in 2020. If you
Uh-huh.
have null on this one, it means user hasn't signed in since April 2020. And basically, we have an ongoing task on the backend. When user signs in interactively, We look at what was the time and stamp it on users as a user attribute. So it doesn't use audit logs anymore. It used to be like that, but people
Yeah.
yelled at us. They want last login timestamp.
Uh-huh.
So it's been around for over a year now, and it's
Okay.
only interactive ones. So if someone has launched Outlook in 2019 and they were only using Outlook and they didn't change their password, so it didn't prompt them, even though they are technically active,
Mm-hmm.
right? They are accessing their email. Their last login timestamp still will be null.
Okay. Okay, that's new to me because I use the I let's see.
The audit logs, yeah.
Yeah, I used the audit logs because that was what the documentation said. I hope I can find that. It's under users. User. It's not listed here. Yeah, it's let's see. It's on the reports. Bzzt. Reports. Identity and access reports. Application sign in details. Maybe it's here.
But that's not the last sign in date.
Yeah, well,
Time.
let's just see what I used in my custom connector. Then we have the answer because I believe we.
Because there are two ways of doing that. So there is there is an attribute on a user that it's called sign-in activity. So you're selecting a sign-in activity attribute on a user, and it's a collection. And that's basically it's a stamp on a user object. You're not calling, hey, give me the reports and give me a report for that user. The funny thing is you still need reporting API permissions to query it. That's why it's a different object on a user. It's an object on an object because we
Okay.
nested them. Honestly, that's an inspired design. But it's on a user object because you are filtering on beta/users, not on beta/reports.
Okay.
Yeah, but you again, we might do a better job of documenting that. Why do you still need reporting API permissions? But you found the right one. You found the beta/users and select sign-in activity on beta users.
Yeah, here it is.
Yep.
Sign in
Yep.
activity dot last sign in
Yes,
daytime.
because sign-in activity is an object on a user, and last sign-in date time is on one of the attributes on that object. Yep.
Okay, so this is the good one.
You found
So
the right one, but it still requires reporting activity.
yeah, that's why I thought it was reporting, and that's why I thought okay, then that must be like based on the audit logs. But there is a
Yeah.
small delay there.
Yeah,
So
there is a small delay, but this one persists for longer than 30 days, right? Audit
yeah.
logs persist for 30 days. This one, as soon as it's stamped, it lives forever.
Yeah, cool. So now we can see this is the date of today, but it's in different time zone. I see.
Yes, it's probably 1 hour after ahead of you. Yeah, it's 3 p.m. Sorry, it's 2 hours because you're
Ooh,
in summertime.
yeah.
Because you're in summertime.
Okay.
Yeah, the winter time is the correct time, by the way.
Cool. Okay, but that's squeezed in there. So
Yes,
I didn't have any place for
that's
that. So
awesome. That's
let's
straight
do
up
it at the
awesome.
bottom.
Yeah,
But
that's straight up awesome. I was
just
just terrified that you are doing /reports/activity and query by the username and find the top one.
no, no.
Because that was the way you had to do it way back when, right?
okay. Yeah, yeah, of course.
So if you go to Azure portal, right, and look at Lee, you would
Uh,
see there are two ways of finding this in Azure portal. You either see it in here in last sign-in date, or you see it in activity sign-ins. So looking at the user profile page is the equivalent of you did in Power App. Looking at so this is
this
what you
one.
did exactly
Yeah,
that. Azure
yeah.
portal has a built-in time zone conversion, by the way.
Cool. I should steal that.
You can press F12 and find the JavaScript
Yeah,
graph.
yeah. I've tried to find it, but
Yeah, I was terrified you did this, right? You grabbed those records and found the top one.
no, I did not do that.
Yeah.
I tried to grab the last 5 sign-ins as we discussed, but that didn't work out that well. So
Yeah,
that
getting
that
top
stays on my list.
Yeah, getting top ones from Graph is kind of tough because not all endpoints support all queries for top count, filter, and stuff
Uh-huh.
like that.
And the most valuable thing is okay, this is cool already, the date, the user, the application, the status, the IP address. But
Mhm.
when you this is the data that you want to see.
Oh
This is,
yeah,
I mean, this is way more information, and that's all.
there's.
That's challenging with Graph API.
It's
This is
just
storage
it's a
indexation.
bunch of object nesting, right? If you try
Yeah,
to export it into an Excel spreadsheet, you will see that there is an big table, and some of the columns in the table are straight up object blobs. Like,
exactly. Oh,
yep,
here are the conditional access rules.
these are
So
report only; they don't count, dude.
yeah, no, that's why that's what I said. I've got a bunch of them, but they're all in report only. So that's why
Yeah,
Lee wasn't prompted for MFA earlier. So
yeah. I
hand on
see
my heart.
Alex came into the chat. Hey, Alex, how's it going, man? Watching us doing Mr. TRP. That's Alex.
Cool.
So,
Hi. So yeah, that's challenging, but mostly because of the parsing. You have to
yes.
parse arrays and then filter out strings and do all kind of stuff. I thought about it storing somewhere else where I can grab like SharePoint lists or so, but I shouldn't do that
Yeah,
because
the real solution is to pull it from a Event Hub, right?
yeah, maybe that makes more sense. Event Hub, because
Or
but
Log Analytics.
yeah, the parsing is the toughest part.
Yes.
How to get it human readable into a Power App, for example.
In reality, you probably shouldn't, right? It's at this point, it's just you're just flexing, showing how awesome you're at Power Apps because decent reporting for sign-ins and analysis is done in Log Analytics, not in Power Apps. At this point, you're just flexing.
So you say I should move towards KQL then instead of this.
Yeah, yeah. At some point, if you want to do analysis of logs, yeah, KQL is the
Mm,
way to go.
mm.
Or just do Splunk.
Splunk, yes. It's for my next adventure.
Until someone pays you to do that, don't do it.
Okay, noted. Okay, and then so that's there. And then one thing I've tried to squeeze in literally is Windows Low for Business, and this is also challenging because of the well, I'm going to show you.
The
So when
object
you
schema, right? The object
yeah
schema is kind of tough.
yeah well have a look. Let's see if can I make this bigger. Let's try that. Was that no? I cannot make it bigger.
You
So
can
let's try
copy.
this
I always copy paste it into a VS Code.
for Notepad.
Oh, look at you being old school.
Great, looks good.
Yes.
So this is basically the easy part. So you get the ID, display name, creation name, daytime, the key strength. Because I had to create a virtual machine.
Yep. And you
Going,
had to disable TPM requirement, right?
yeah, and yeah, of course, because it was somewhere in Azure, so the TPM doesn't work. And then
Oh, look at you. You also had to disable NLA on remote desktop to connect
oh,
to and have a hello for business.
no, but well, this is my test tenant, and Lee doesn't have any Windows Hello for Business enrollment, so I had to create one from scratch. So I enrolled to get some data out of it because
Yeah. I totally get it. I totally get it. I'm just
otherwise
joking with you.
you would do this with the demo
Yes,
data on the
I have
documentation.
a local VM for hello for business purposes. It's just too much of a hassle to do it in Azure.
Yeah, I should do that as well.
I need
Okay,
to do a show. Oh, I will do a show next week how to connect your VMs to Azure VNets to have always on VPN.
awesome. Looking
You gave me
forward
an
to that.
idea. Yes.
Cool. Okay, so this is the easy part. But again, here is a device, an array, and that is holding all the details. And then after that, there's another array here
Yep.
holding a bunch of information here again. So it's horrible to get this into Power Apps.
Yeah.
So the only thing getting in there, um, was the default information, like the device name and the key strength, for example, and that works. But I had another button, and I'm honest, that doesn't work. I wasn't able to do that. I've created one, and I've created these authentication methods, and then I did some tricks with expanding parameter, and then grabbed the device data. But I can show you what it gives me back. It's really frustrating. So it's here in test. It's empty now. So because I didn't hit the button. Let me hit the button. We can show what's in the collection. So when I open up test, I've got the device, but it's showing all the headers, but it does only show the ID. No, I got no idea how that. I didn't
Ooh,
get this
that's
stuff working.
strange.
But it should be something on my end or in the parsing or in the schema. It's not right. And the other thing that I've got to manage to grab all this information and put it back to Power Apps. But then I get one large string with all dashes and stuff.
Yeah. Honestly, what I would do, I would grab the device ID and I would call slash beta slash devices with device ID, and I would get it from the specific devices API instead of trying to nest from this one.
Yeah, so that would be a two-step.
I
So
know, right? Too much
first grab,
hassle.
yeah, first grab the Windows Hello for Business information, then you got the device ID, and then do another request for the device details. That makes total sense. That's exactly what happens here, I guess, because this is the value, and that it holds the display name and the key strength, and under here is the device, which is also the same information. So didn't have time to fix that, but it's there and it works. So that was my Power App feature requests for this week.
Yeah, that's very cool. That's insanely cool.
But there's no room left for any more
I
features.
know, right? It's
I
just
should I should
so
I thought about making tabs at the top. So when you click these buttons and you get all the tabs, and then it jumps to other screens, for example.
I hate to be that bummer, but if you created it as a mobile compatible app, it
Ah,
would scroll top to bottom because it would be a single column.
agree. Yeah, that won't work. Hmm.
I know, right? But you would have to redo so much work. I just love it. I just like having everything in one place. It makes my brain that likes compartmentalizing stuff. It eases my OCD. Sorry, it eases my CDO because that shit better be alphabetical.
Yeah. Well, yeah, that's basically what this is good for, because you got all the information in one screen, almost in one screen,
Yep.
and you can look into things. And we discussed the temporary access pass, and when you do this also shows a send to SMS button, which is awesome. You can do everything in one screen as
So,
a service desk
question:
employee.
how do you send out those SMSs? Who
Yeah, that's a
pays
good.
for those texts?
Currently, this is on a trial. I can show you. I can show
Oh,
you
because
the.
Power BI has an SMS connector that you can pay
No,
for a
I
premium
used
one.
yeah, I used a let me check.
Because
I used
that's
a
kind of interesting, right? Because sometimes getting like an SMS gateway and paying for those texts, it's kind of
mhm.
expensive.
Yeah, it is. So here is my flow that does that. It's using SendGrid.
Oh, using SendGrid,
Yeah,
nice.
yeah. It's just a an extension from SendGrid, and it just basically says, okay, what's your phone number? And I grab the mobile phone number from the Azure AD properties of that user. And then also do that with the given name. And here is my tab variable that will be sent out as a text.
Wait,
And
your
also,
tab validity is 3 days? Are you crazy?
well, it was just an example. It was an example. You can use it only once, and it is. I don't think
No,
it's
you
valid.
can reuse it. That's the thing. You can reuse it for 3 days if it's valid for 3 days.
Okay. No, but you can. Let me check. You can.
You can change the validity when you create one, yes.
Uh-huh. Yeah, but you can also select whether you could use it only once, right? Because yeah, you can say, okay,
Oh yeah, one time use, yes. Yeah.
one-time use.
Yeah, okay. But that session will live forever. You can create you can log in into Teams and that Teams session will be alive forever.
Okay. Well, it's just for onboarding and recovery.
That's why we tell customers when you're using Tap, be really, really, really careful, because it's a very powerful thing. If someone hijacks it, you can make a lot of damage.
Okay.
That texting is a perfect way of doing it, right? Because it's a company verified phone number, so only
exactly.
kind of like SMS-ish thing.
Yeah, exactly. It's just grabbing this phone number over here, and then just hit the button, and it will automatically send it.
That's perfect.
So that's how I do it, and this is just a trial. You got like $5, and so you can send out 200 texts, and then that's it, and then you have to pay for a subscription.
Yeah, but it's Azure, it's ACR, so it comes down from your Azure subscription, right? You can use your MSDN if you are feeling frisky.
I don't know. I think you just have to get a subscription from SendGrid for that.
Oh, really? Very cool. I love it.
Cool. So, do we have time to switch gears to Azure Mfa?
Yes, we have 15 more minutes or something like that if you want.
Should be enough.
Yeah.
Because there's this cool thing that I'd like to show, so that we can populate the Azure MFA authentication methods using Power Automate. So it can be either in onboarding, for onboarding purposes, but it also can be used when you migrate from MFA server to Azure MFA, because you have all these phone numbers, you pull them out of your Azure MFA server, and you got these use principal names, and then you have to stuff them into Azure AD. Or you can just politely ask, hey, would you just go to this registration portal? But you can also do that for your employees. And it's really simple. You can use the authentication method connector that I showed earlier. Just grab it from GitHub. Yeah. So not new connection. I got this one. Custom connectors. New connector. Import from GitHub. And I also reached out to my website janbakker.tech. It has 2 articles that explains this from top to bottom. So don't worry if you don't get it straight away. You have to use this Azure AD phone methods connector. And then we have to create just a simple Excel file would be good on SharePoint, for example, and name it wherever you want. But you create a table. That's basically what we're doing. And this table has 2 columns: the user principal name and the phone number. And this is basically it. We're going to onboard these users for Azure MFA with the phone number that is provided in the table. So in order to do that, let's go back to Power Automate. And I've created 2 flows to demonstrate that it works. One is onboarding all the users, but the second one is just delete all the phone numbers, because you can also delete all the phone numbers. So here are my 2 flows. Let's see what this one does. Create MFA phone numbers. So I'm just manually triggering this flow by hitting on go, and then I'm going to list all the rows that are present in the table. So I've got this SharePoint site, the documents, and then there's this user.xlsx, the file that I just showed, and then I have to select this table. It's all dynamic. It's just there. It's not that hard to do. And then the magic is within this apply to each loop. So we're grabbing all these rows one by one, and then we're using this custom connector that you can pull straight from GitHub again, and then just entering the user ID, which is also this one also grabs the use principal name. So you could do ID or use principal name, whatever you like. And the second one is the phone number. So that's it. And here you can define the phone type. I could make this into a menu, but you can just hard code mobile. And if you want alternate phone, just type in alternate phone or office phone as well. It should work.
Office phone will not work. Office phone will not work for synced users. Office phone for synced users gets always synced from on premises.
Is that true?
Yes.
Cool. Did not know that.
Yeah, I know. It's kind of confusing. Office phone is basically hard because of Exchange and SIP.
Yeah, but let's see. Because I think one of the cool features that's not available but would be awesome is that you can select an on-premises attribute and sync it to the Azure Mfa mobile phone number.
To mobile, there is a pre-population, but that user needs to verify. Eventually,
Exactly.
I would love for it to be, as you say, but
Hmm.
probably in
Because,
the next in the cloud sync after we're done with AD Connect in 3 years.
okay, cool. Well, until then,
Until
just use
then,
the,
that's the way to do it, right? If you
yeah,
type into your favorite search engine like Google, Alta Vista, Bing, DuckDuckGo, pre-populate Azure MFA, basically there is a script that does what Jan did way easier here.
yeah.
This one
And
is way easier because you don't have to press F5 on your script.
yeah, and this is I've seen I've done the PowerShell method, and this one turns out to be faster than the PowerShell method.
Oh
So
yeah. Yeah.
maybe that could be a reason to look into this. So okay, let's test this out. This is really simple. Just manually hit this test button. Oh no! Before we continue, just verify that there is no value. For example, let's see. Let's pick this one. Show that it's empty.
For Johnny.
Proof or it didn't happen.
Picture, sorry, didn't happen, right?
Yeah. Okay. So oh, there is a number. So I
You
should run my I should run my delete flow
run your
first.
wipe.
Yeah, it's my wipe flow. Cool. So let's do that. It's basically the same. It just deletes the phone.
Iterates through the, yeah.
Yes. So let's run it. Let's see.
And we will be able to show the audit, right?
Yeah, sure.
That
Everything.
some users got deleted. You can
Yep.
see it on a user object.
Yeah, of course we can see it. So now it's running. It should run.
7 seconds. Wow.
It should run fast. Let's see.
I saw that. Yes.
I think it's already the GUI here is lagging, but I think the it's already done. So let's just refresh here. Oh, it's still there. Ooh. I didn't sacrifice any chickens. Come on. Don't leave me hanging here. I've tested this afternoon. It worked fine. So let's see what it says. If it's still running, then oh, it succeeded. Let's see. It's just the UI thing. Yeah, there it is. So deleted for all these users. It sends 204. Should be good. Well, let's give it another try then. There it is. It's
No
gone.
usable method. Yeah. So can you see audit logs for that user?
Yeah, of course. You should see a bunch of them because I've kicked
Yeah.
in the script. But here it is. This is the one
You ran
from
earlier in the day.
earlier in the day. But here's the deleted one.
It takes up to 15 minutes to populate
Yeah,
audit logs.
but here you can see off and on, deleted, registered. So here it is. It's because we're using delegated permissions. I did this, and you can see what the modified
And
properties
the
are.
initiated from is very fun.
Yeah, I saw that. That's cool. That's just showing my custom connector and
Really
the
fun.
ID of the app registration, I guess.
Yes.
That is awesome information.
Because you're using delegated permissions, we know what is the confidential client that called it. So if you want to stop it from happening, you find that app and straight up disable it.
Yes, but
As an admin.
I've used this to discover what app registration I use for this particular custom connector because
Yeah.
there's no link. You have to remember it.
Yeah.
So this is really great information.
Yeah.
So now
So
you
you go
can
into app registrations, just paste this one into search, and you're fine.
let's see if that works. It should work. And then I know which one I use because I got a lot of them, so it's all
I can only imagine. Some of them have expired
here. It
on.
is. Here it is.
There
This
we
is using
go.
Azure AD. I did a pretty good naming convention. I could figure out which one it was, but
The
yeah,
name is literally in the audit log, right? The name of
yeah,
the app is
yeah,
literally in the audit log.
yeah.
So
We've seen that. Yeah. So that's really cool. So let's see. Okay. the one deleted should, yeah, this is the one that we just did.
Yeah.
Deleted, it's basically the same. And then the information, yeah, this is awesome.
Yeah. That's the
So
name of the app registration. Yeah.
cool. So now let's kick the other script. No, we should go here. Flows. Create MFA methods. Let's do it like this. It should run really fast, but sometimes the UI will it's a bit messy. But there we go.
You're on a trial/free version of Power Apps. There is a reason not to give you enough CPU to kill the service,
Ah,
right?
okay. Cool.
The Power Apps Premium or Power Automate Premium, it gets tired.
But it's really good. It got how many records? 10 records minus the headers. So it lists all the all the rows in 1 second, and then it does 24 seconds for 10 rows. So 2 seconds per row.
Yep.
To create the phone authentication method for each user. So that's really cool. So
Yeah.
here it
It's so much fun. Yeah.
Cool. So now if
And you can initiate that stuff automatically on schedule, right?
Yeah, you can do all kinds of stuff. But for onboarding, this is beautiful because you can use the new nudge feature, so that you onboard with phone and then you nudge all your users to say, hey, just register your authentication app. So
Yep.
that could be, and then when you hire a new person, you can enable that by default for them, so they're always protected.
Yeah.
So
I've
that's good
seen
too.
people do stuff like the stuff that you did in here in Power Apps. I've seen people do that in ServiceNow, because
Mm-hmm.
ServiceNow also has connectors. So what they do, they get a collection of tickets and requests. They get approved, and as soon as it gets approved for a change and everything, it just calls Graph to set the method.
Cool.
Right? Instead of you swivel chairing to a different screen to type in stuff in the Azure portal, it just does it based on a flow. Or I also have seen people do the Excel thing that you did, but they run the automate always like on schedule and mark in Excel spreadsheet which ones were done.
I've tried that, but it was too much hassle because
Yeah,
you
it's
have
too
to
much hassle,
identify.
right? Because you have to fork it. You have to, after you're done, you have to parse out the response codes, and then you have to dump the response code into an Excel spreadsheet. It's better.
Yeah,
You're better off to doing something like SQL database instead of Excel spreadsheet at this point,
yeah,
right?
of course. But the concept is really easy. You can set this up in, like, if you have a company with 1,000 employees, you can do this within one night. You
Yes,
can onboard everybody for MFA. That's the beauty of it.
that's the beauty of the low-code platforms, right?
Mm-hmm.
Instead of
Yeah,
you trying to figure out data storage, data stuff, you just have connectors, you stitch them together, and if it doesn't break, you just MacGyver that stuff with duct
yeah,
tape and bubble gum.
exactly.
As long as it's not MacGruber, you will be fine.
Cool. Yeah.
Don't watch that movie. It's
No,
bad.
I will not.
Don't watch it. Don't watch it.
I've never seen it. I've never seen it.
Good. Good. It's the most awkward thing I've ever seen.
Okay, now I'm curious.
It's more awkward than The Office.
Okay, I like The Office.
Okay.
Send it to me on Twitter.
Yes. I will.
Okay,
I will send you the movie,
cool.
the movie name. Okay,
Cool.
that's super cool. The automation, the onboarding.
Yeah.
You might as well say that you might add a text message thing saying, "Hey, you are registered now for MFA.
Yeah,
Start using your blah
exactly.
blah blah." Right?
Yeah,
You
exactly.
have all those building blocks, and sky's the limit, right?
Yeah.
And you showed the fun thing about you just connect to a graph, get a sample response from documentation, and
Hmm.
you can get the ball rolling, right?
Yeah,
And instead of typing gazillion PowerShell scripts with input output iteration, you get Power Apps to do it for you.
exactly. If I can do it, everybody can do it.
You're giving yourself way too little credit, man.
No, it's that easy. You just have to be creative and see the possibilities. They got over 400 connectors. If you think of a connector, it's already there. They already
Yeah.
invented that. Like this text, I was thinking, okay, I should text this. Let's see, connector, text, SMS. There, you can do it by using WhatsApp, Telegram. There are a bunch of integration. You can use any platform. So it's right there. You just have to build the blocks and be creative.
But yeah, it's super cool. It's very, very cool. I love it. So thank you for your time. We are at the top of the hour, right on time. Hopefully, we and I didn't make you work too hard on the feature requests.
Nope, it was fun.
Your definition of fun is so much different than mine, man. But let's get your screen off. And yeah, so just to recap, the Power Apps is cool. For those of you that are not entrenched devs like JP and Christos on the show, so for us, a little bit on the dumber side, it might be a great choice. And yeah, and I always keep Jan as a golden example how to do stuff that we in Microsoft are a little bit slow to do.
No
there is a reason Microsoft MVP is not for the smartest, but for the loudest people.
I guess I'm not the smartest.
I used to be a Microsoft MVP, so I would know, right?
You cannot be a Microsoft MVP, right?
I used to be before joining
Yeah,
Microsoft.
you used to be. Yeah,
yes,
okay.
I used to be.
Yes,
There is a
that growth.
workaround if you get hired to Microsoft as a yellow badge with the V dash, you keep your MVP.
Cool, interesting.
You keep your MVP. I've seen people do it back in Poland. For the longest time, Peter the Tender kept his MVP, and he was Azure Learning Master. Yeah, I love Peter. He's a friend of mine. So Peter the Tender. He's in Belgium.
Yeah,
but yeah.
Sounds like Belgium. Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay,
he was a guest on the show with JP, and yeah.
Okay, cool.
We have plenty. It's the concentration of talent in Benelux is insane.
Plenty more good stuff to come.
Yeah. So for those of you that will be watching a VOD, Jan, follow Jan at Jan Bakker on Twitter. Very fun Twitter to follow. No shit posting, only tech stuff. I don't know how do you do it. You're way too professional.
I'm independent consultant, so I should be professional.
I always say, do you know what's the difference between professionals and amateurs? Professionals had built the Titanic. Amateurs had built the Noah's Ark. At the end of the day, if you're competent enough, your level of professionalism doesn't matter. So
cool.
It's a bad career advice. Don't follow my advice.
We'll keep that in mind.
Yeah, but yeah, guys, follow Jan. Alex in the Twitch chat says he loves Power Apps. Yes, because it's very fun. Yeah, low code for the win. And yeah, thank you, Jan. I really appreciate your time.
Yeah, you're welcome. And talk soon.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, bye-bye.
Thanks, y'all.